Attention! What you're about to hear today may seem crazy. It may go against everything society and logic have taught you. I know, but I need to tell you something. You're just 10 minutes away from changing your destiny forever. I'm not talking about a mystical ritual, an esoteric secret, or a magic formula. I'm talking about a real experience, an encounter I saw transform the life of a friend, a man who was on the brink of collapse. So radically that the only explanation he could find was divine intervention. And today, I'm going to guide you through the 10 minutes with God that will change your destiny forever. The story I'm about to tell you is about a man named Gabriel. Gabriel wasn't lazy or dishonest. He was a man of faith, working by the sweat of his brow. He owned a small repair shop, a place that reeked of grease and metal. The walls, hung with tools, were a testament to a life dedicated to work. But the economic crisis hit like a hurricane. The few machines he repaired were no longer enough to pay the bills. Calls to customers yielded nothing more than empty promises, and his hope was dwindling with each passing day. His wife's smile, which once lit up the room, was fading. Gabriel spent sleepless nights, head in his hands, feeling the lump in his throat. He wondered silently if God had abandoned him. The final straw came with the bank's notice. A cold, impersonal piece of paper that felt like a bankruptcy notice. The workshop he had built with his own hands, with so much sacrifice, would be auctioned off in less than 30 days. That place that had sheltered his dreams, his passion, and his livelihood was about to be ripped from him. Gabriel sat on a wooden bench in the middle of the workshop, surrounded by the heavy silence of defeat. He stared at the ceiling, as if he wanted to pierce the sky with his eyes, and cried out, voiceless, God, I did everything, I worked, I prayed. The Bible promises that the Lord is my shepherd, and I shall not want, but I am starving. My family is starving. Can't you see me? Does my faith mean nothing? What happened next, I swear, has no logical explanation. Gabriel, at the height of his despair, felt a strange impulse. It wasn't to pray, it wasn't to ask, it was to be silent. He remembered a phrase from a pastor he heard on the radio. We spend so much time talking to God that we forget to listen to Him. The direction of our destiny lies in His voice. Gabriel decided, in an act of utter desperation, that he would do what his heart told him. He would give 10 minutes of his day to God. Just 10 minutes. And the next day, he did. His cell phone alarm went off, and instead of jumping out of bed and heading to the workshop, he sat in his chair, in the darkness of his room, and said what he called the 10-minute prayer. He surrendered, not just with words, but with his body, with his soul. The first 3 minutes were a confession. He didn't ask, he poured it out. He poured out all the pain, all the frustration, all the anger. He spoke about the workshop, the debt, his fear of failure. He didn't use pretty words. He used the language of the soul, the language of his pain. He said, Lord, I feel like a failure. I'm scared, and I can't stand pretending everything's okay anymore. He wept, and for 3 full minutes, he poured himself out before God. The next 4 minutes were filled with absolute silence. He didn't say anything else. He just took a deep breath. He focused on listening, on feeling. He opened his heart to the voice of God, which manifested itself in the form of intuition, an idea, a subtle memory. Silence was a portal to the Creator's voice, and it was in this silence that a thought came to his mind. It wasn't about the workshop. It wasn't about repairing machines. The thought was about his father. He remembered his father who had passed away years ago, and how his father taught him to be a man of character. He remembered the life stories his father told, the lessons of wisdom he imparted. The thought was so strange, so disconnected from his reality, that he almost ignored it. But he remembered his purpose: to listen. The last 3 minutes were spent committing. He prayed, God, I don't understand why I remembered my father, but I trust. I surrender to your plan. Give me the courage to take the first step in the direction you are leading me." He stood up, no longer weighed down by defeat, but with a strange lightness, a conviction. His soul had been restored. Gabriel didn't wait for a miracle. He took action. He knew his talent with his hands wasn't all he had. His father had left him a legacy of wisdom and life stories. Gabriel created a YouTube channel, not to talk about repairs, to talk about life. He began telling stories about his father, his own story of overcoming adversity, and how his faith kept him going even when all seemed lost. He used his own workshop, which looked like a bankruptcy certificate, as his setting. He used his experience of failure as his greatest testimony. Gabriel's 10-minute prayer didn't save him from failure, but it did direct him toward his true destiny. The financial prosperity he so desperately sought came not from the workshop, but from his purpose. His story, told with honesty and faith, touched the hearts of thousands of people around the world. His video views grew exponentially, and what was once a dream, his passion for teaching, became his livelihood. What Gabriel discovered is that 10 minutes with God aren't about asking for a new car, a new house, or money. The 10 minutes are about aligning yourself with the Creator's will, about silencing your own voice to hear His. Because our destiny is not in our hands, but in His. Prosperity is not the goal, but the consequence of a life aligned with God's purpose. Do you believe this really happened? Have you ever experienced something similar? If this story touched you, if you feel like you need a new direction, it's no coincidence that you've reached the end of this video. This is your calling. I invite you to join us. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos, and leave your comment below. I surrender. Share this video with someone who needs new hope, because when we share the blessing, it multiplies. And I'll see you in the next video.